So welcome to St Albans Park Run, number 479. Someone getting some encouragement there. It's good. Always a nice thing to happen. Getting ready to go.
Are you ready? Go!
Unfortunately, the camera was a little tilted down here, but that's just one of those things. I set out a really fast pace here. I think I was doing 3:45 minute kilometers, which was not only silly, but I paid for greatly later. As again, my watch didn't really come back to real time. It seemed to be stuck on one thing. I don't know why it does that at the start of these races, but I will find out in the fullness of time, as they say. But really, I suppose, as my coach said, you need to be running these, or knowing what these times are, paces are in your head. So here I was aiming for, a 20 minute run, which is quite easy. That's a 4-minute kilometre times 5. I'm very good at maths, aren't I? But so there you go. But it is what it is, and you have to start out from there. I thought these guys are roaring on ahead, so I shouldn't be too bad. But about here, the watch, I think I looked at the watch. You might see me take a look at the camera, take a look at the watch from here. Just my head turns down, or it may have just gone past, I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm fiddling with something. Yeah, I'm tightening the strap up there. Can you believe that? Because I could feel it was moving around, and that's what that sloshing sound is. Eventually figured out what that was, but it has to be so tight that it constricts your head, and obviously you need your head to have a good circulation of blood for the cooling effect, especially on a warm day like this. So choice between a rock and a hard place, really, until I get a better camera, which I don't intend to do for some time, and can put it on a strap mount on the chest, which I still don't think is such a good position, because it doesn't let you look around at things, and if something happens, like we've had some quite funny events happen, like that dog diving in front of Mike Godself, and that was quite a funny event, which I wouldn't have probably got if I hadn't been able to look. So you need to have these things there, but and put up with the discomfort. So this does look like a slight uphill, but it's not. It's pretty flat, really, the whole course. There might be a very slight incline, but I was just setting out a little too fast. Yeah, so I tried to stick with this guy for most of the way. It was pretty useful to have someone as a bit of a pacer. I just hoped he wasn't going to be trying for a 19. I have a feeling this guy did sort of well under 20 at the end. So, and I just don't think I had that sort of pace in me that day. So, but the beautiful Verulamium Park. That must be a Roman name, although I didn't see any Romans lurking around. And I did try to check out on Google what the correct pronunciation is, but there weren't any audio recordings from Roman times, so nobody actually knew. Just as there's no film footage. There's a few engravings, which they're pretty similar if you keep moving them fast in front of each other, do provide some sort of a moving image, and you can get a feel for what it was like living in those days. Possibly not. Anyway, you can hear me. You can hear my pace, and I think in one of the other videos you can hear me going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, which I seem to be. Here I was trying to push my cadence a bit more. I think I was averaging 165, 67, 68 or something around there, which was good, because I had a very slow cadence before, 156 and a 1.4 meter stride, which is no good to man or beast. So I shortened my stride by what I perceived to be almost a foot length, and just kind of had to feel out how that was. Did I feel a bit more tired? But I think it's more a case of when you get a dumbbell and it's got a pretty good weight on it, and you try and do sort of 10 reps or whatever, and it's hard. But if you get a much lighter one that's got, say, 20% less weight on it, and you can just keep going forever on it, and do sort of 40, 50 reps. And I think this is the principle. If you're putting a lot of load in a longer stride, you're going to feel tired a lot sooner. But it never come up before in all the runs. I'd only ever just run just to keep fit, so it didn't really matter. I just thought I was just loping along at my most efficient pace, and it didn't really matter because I didn't have to last this long at a much higher pace. So again, a lesson learned there. But that's what happens when you do things. You don't get worse at it, you get better at it. So I think this is coming around to, I'm not sure it's the end of the first lap, but we're coming towards those trees in the background, or with the background distance there. That's where I think the second lap starts. So my first kilometre was 3:48 minute kilometres. Second one was 4:07, which was perhaps a better one to have gone for. And then I did a 4:15 for the kilometre 3. Then a 4:20, so you can see. I mean, although they are supposed to be regarded as the 3 and 4 are supposed to be the hardest kilometres in a 5k. You can see the times are just dropping off, and my final kilometre was a 4:28 minute kilometre. So just gives you an idea of what happens if you, and of course it's uncomfortable. Instead of actually building up your pace and feeling comfortable doing it as your body is getting used to using the energy and replacing it, because obviously it's otherwise it's quite a demand on it straight away, and it just takes it a little while to get into that sort of mode. But I'm still seem to be tracking that guy in the black outfit. So this should be, I guess, it must be kilometre 3. So that was a 4:15, which was still, still I could have pulled things back from that, but it wasn't looking likely. And it's all on paths, so it's there wasn't any sort of off-road, although some of that, the sort of the whatever is the chippings or whatever the surface is on the part of that path was a little loose in places. It wasn't really anything that really affected your push off. Good old Marshall standing there. So it's still going at a nice pace here. Quite pleased with that, even though I can hear me puffing like a cart horse. And then of course as we get to the end of this track, it then turns left up what is the only hill there, and I'm trying to think it's probably only a rise of about 3 meters, something like that, over the course of a couple of 100 meters. So it's not much of a rise there. Sort of 12 feet, something like that. When I realised I was slowing, I could see my average time on my watch. So I just knew I had to just start to really push here as much as I could, or not drop back really. Just try and maintain. So we go twice round this whole sort of oblong area around the park. It's quite beautiful. It's so interesting. You know, when I used to go to parks, before I did park runs, I didn't really, you know, you just sort of go there and think, oh yeah, whatever. But when you run round them, you start to realise actually how beautiful most of them are. I'm not sure why that is, because you're going along at such a speed. I suppose I'm trying to take my mind off of the fact of how exhausting it is. But you just see these, you know, beautiful sort of features there. See all the different coloured trees, and realise probably every one of those trees has been planted for a reason. You know, probably someone stood back and went, right, we are going to put this here because it will then look like this in years to come, which is might not have even been in their lifetime. So as often trees can be 70, 80, 90, 100 years before they start to look mature. Coming past the back markers, which is to be expected on a 2-lap course. So it's done 250 park runs there. Wow. I think I might have to test out one of the later GoPros just to see what the image stability is like. But I think a lot of still what you're seeing there, that sort of jitteriness, is still something to do with the head strap. Of course, being a baldy, I put sunscreen on the top of my head. Not that you really need it that time of the morning. It's just there wasn't a time, because we usually stand around for a little bit, so there wasn't really much of a chance to then put it on later, and you could forget and end up with a burned bonce. So that, of course, meant the little rubber grips that are on the inside of the strap to help it grip didn't. So the end is in sight now. I think this must be it's probably halfway through kilometre 3, I would say, just as a rough guess by that time. It's quite nice having the timer up there, isn't it? It's a nice little feature, so you can see the progress. This is the whole, obviously the whole race there as well. And as I go through the finish, you better see my time. Thank you very much, Marshall. That's the idea. That's what you feel like doing most of the time, is just walking it, thinking, why am I running this thing? And all I think about when I'm going round is having a beer. I don't know why that is. It's the last thing you really want after. Well, I don't know, actually. I might give it a try if I ever do a really, really good time. Crack open a can of something. Have a fag. Maybe have a PBP up. I don't know. Can think of a lot worse things to do on a Saturday morning. Hair of the dog. Or hair of somebody's dog. I think that's probably a heart monitor that lady was wearing there. I think it is, but usually you wear them underneath, but it might not be. It might be something else, but I've got a heart monitor which goes with my ancient Garmin 301 Forerunner, which is almost the size of a mobile phone. And unfortunately, I just didn't have the inclination to get a heart rate monitor for the Garmin 935 I have, which probably wasn't the best watch I could have got at the time, but you know, you just read up what you think you might need. So that would have been actually back there. That would have probably been most of the way through, coming up to kilometre 3, I would say. Yes, because this is definitely, this would probably be probably 4, coming up to kilometre 4 now, I would say. Which should hit roughly around 16 minutes, so it's kilometre 3 still. I haven't even got enough breath to actually do a proper cough. Just sort of and just try and get a little bit out, clearing some congestion. Clearing that tuberculosis and diphtheria, whatever else you could contract in the old days. I think that was quite the wearing thing on a run which you're not really that familiar with. You're just thinking, whereabouts am I on the track? How long have I got to go? But I have got reduced them down on my screen because I've got 4 things on there. I've got the time elapsed, and I've got the kilometres elapsed right at the bottom. It's a little bit too small to see at a quick glance. And of course, the 2 big screens I have on the watch, sort of in the middle, are the actual pace and average pace, because they're the most useful things. But I have a feeling I don't ever look at. There's no point looking at the timer. So I may just get it down to 3 screens and have I think I can't remember what this guy said to me. Fortunately, the GoPro doesn't pick up what other people say, and I couldn't remember what he said. So, but always nice to have a few words of encouragement as you run past people, or they run past you. Yeah, so I think I might go back to 3 screens and just have actual time, actual pace, average pace, and then how many kilometres I've done. That's probably about the only useful thing. And this guy who came up behind me was really, really good pace he was going. Look, I think he was in the age category below me. I think he was 55 to 60, and I'm 60 to 64 category. But he had a very sort of unusual style. Maybe he's got sort of a few mobility issues there. But what a pace he was going! I just couldn't hang on to him after that. But it shows how he'd paced it and got it right. And I was just really clinging on, just trying not to lose too much time. I just didn't have anything left, and I hadn't had too many, only a couple of runs the week before. I had the injuries, the plantar fasciitis, and this thigh sort of rear hamstring on my right leg, or the hamstring on my right leg, all hamstrings at the rear, as far as I know. Quite weird with one at the front, wouldn't you? But so that has stopped me. All I could do was just easy runs, try not to aggravate anything, and then just hope I had something in the bag for the actual race itself. But I've tried setting out, just keeping up with someone who usually ended up the same speed as me, and I just never seem to be able to, that early pace. I don't know whether it's psychological, always was something that was, if I let it go, if I didn't go out fairly quick, I never seem to be able to recapture it. But that's probably just something to do with fitness, I would say. So thankfully I did tilt my head up a bit. As you can see, this camera is a little on the low. It's tilted down a little bit, but it's a very narrow band you have here. Oops, I should have done that a bit more sensibly. I didn't realise it was quite such a tight corner there, but and you're going to bump into other people if you're not careful. But it's such a narrow field of vision you have there. As soon as you move your head slightly, you drop out of view, and if the camera's tilted up too much, then of course you chop people's legs off, which really doesn't make a very good video, because you really want to see the legs running, not their heads bobbing up and down. Now I feel like we're on the home stretch, which I thought was way back, so I still feel like I went a bit too early here. And I should be coming up to a mate of mine, standing with my son. Should be Roger Jasic, my son Lloyd, and Roger's son Daryl Jasic. He won Park Run 478 here at St Albans, 18:30. First time he ever tried it, 18 minutes 30. So very good runner in his own right there. Now I'm doing I think 3 minute 50 pace here, just pushing as hard as I can to get to the end. There's the finish line in sight. The last 200 meters were as fast as I could run. And it's like, you know, you try to give the commands to your legs and they just don't respond, but you just have to keep pushing, keep trying to train those legs to go that little bit faster, even when you feel you've got nothing left, because you've got the anaerobic energy to draw on. Over the line, these two guys larking around, bombing my GoPro. That was good fun. There you go. Don't even cough for too long, because you just need to gasp your breaths. But you do feel fantastic the rest of the day once you've recovered. It's an amazing feeling, and much different to me just jogging around that I used to do. Just the exhausted walk back. Pick up your token of appreciation, and people might think, or marshals might think, that we don't thank them enough, but let me tell you, you can barely even speak. Well, that wraps it up for this one, so I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe and share, and see you in the next one.